Have you ever prayed for something so many times, eventually you stopped asking? At first you had faith, you prayed every night. You believed God was gonna make a way. You told yourself it's coming, I just have to trust him. But then nothing changed. A week passed, then another. Maybe it's been months and you're sitting there wondering, God, did you forget about me? Sometimes the hardest part of faith isn't believing God can do something. It's believing he will when you have no idea when. And maybe that's where you are right now. You're watching other people get the things you've been praying for. Someone gets the relationship, someone gets the opportunity. But deep down you're asking God, when is it gonna be my turn? And that's where comparison starts destroying your peace. Because you start looking at somebody else's chapter while you're frustrated with your own. But here's something you need to understand. God's timing for someone else was never the deadline for your life. Just because it happened for them doesn't mean you're behind. You're not late, you're not forgotten, and you're not being overlooked. You might simply be in a season that requires something from you that you don't understand yet. I want you to think about a seed for a minute. When you plant a seed in the ground, what do you see? You don't see roots growing. You don't see the seed preparing to break through the soil. You don't see what's happening underneath from the outside. It looks like absolutely nothing is happening, but underneath the surface everything is changing. And sometimes your life looks exactly like that. You keep praying, you keep believing, you keep showing up, and from your perspective nothing is happening. But what if God is doing his deepest work where you can't see it? What if the silence isn't meaningless? What if God is preparing something underneath the surface? Because sometimes we're asking God for a blessing while he's preparing us for a blessing. We might be asking for the relationship, but God is working on your character. You might be asking for the opportunity, but God is building your discipline. You might be asking God to change your circumstances while he's trying to change you. And I know that can be frustrating because we want God to fix what's around us. But sometimes God starts fixing what's inside us. What good is it to get everything you prayed for if you're not ready to handle it? Imagine giving a 5-year-old the keys to a Ferrari. The Ferrari isn't the problem, the child just isn't ready for it. And sometimes God isn't saying no, he's saying not yet. Not because he doesn't love you, but because he loves you enough to prepare you first. And here's the part nobody talks about. Sometimes God has to remove things before he gives you things. Sometimes he removes people, sometimes he closes doors. Sometimes he takes away something you were convinced you needed. And you sit there thinking, God, why would you let this happen? But months later you realize what felt like was actually the door you begged God to open might have been the door he was protecting you from. The person you begged him to keep might have been the person he was trying to remove. You don't always know what God is protecting you from. And that's why trusting God is so difficult. Because faith requires you to trust someone who can see what you can't. You see the closed door, God sees what's behind it. You see the delay, God sees the timing. You see the rejection, God sees the protection. And listen, I know you're tired. I know waiting gets exhausting. I know you've prayed that prayer so many times you don't know what else to say. But don't stop talking to God just because you haven't received the answer yet. A delayed answer isn't the same thing as an ignored prayer. Your prayer didn't disappear, God heard you. And just because heaven hasn't answered the way you expected, doesn't mean heaven is silent forever. Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it's no, and sometimes it's wait. And wait is probably the hardest answer of all. Because no gives you closure and wait gives you hope. But it makes you keep trusting. And maybe that's exactly what God is teaching you right now. Not how to get what you want, but how to trust him when you don't get it immediately. Because anybody can praise God when everything's going perfect. But there's something different about the person who says, God, even though I don't understand this, I will still trust you. That's faith. Faith isn't pretending everything is okay. Faith is saying everything might not be okay right now, but I know God is still good. Think about the things you prayed for before that God brought in your life. Think about the doors he opened, the moments he protected you, the times you thought you weren't gonna make it but somehow you did. And yet God carried you through them. So why would you believe he'll suddenly stop now? The same God that was faithful yesterday is still faithful today. So if you're waiting right now, don't quit, keep your faith, keep praying, keep trusting.